Hi, Empress Justice here, and welcome to a special Aquarius Rahu and Leo Ketu reading for Taurus. I'm sorry, Taurus. This is for Kritika, Rohini, and Margashosha. Now, the reasons why the cards are a little bit out of whack is because I actually filmed your reading before, but the mic wasn't on, so I have to film your reading again. But to recap, from that reading that unfortunately you didn't hear because there was no mic. This is going to be a forecast for the next year and a half for Taurus. Okay, so what I'm really going to do here for your sign is I'm really going to take my time and go over all the themes and all the most important parts of the next 18 months for you, because the Aquarius Rahu and Leo Ketu nodal axis, which happened on the 29th of May, and will happen until the 26th of November 2026. This nodal axis, as for most nodal axis, if not all of them, will be taking place over the next year and a half. So that's what this reading is for. Okay, I'm sorry to talk in roundabouts. It's just been a kind of a long day, honestly. Kind of a long day. So sorry if I talk in roundabouts. Okay, babe. So what I'm going to do for you, Taurus, is I'm going to go through your tarot cards first, and then I'm going to go over your oracle cards. Then I'm going to go over the notes, and then go over these pre-selected cards that you have right here. Again, I did do a reading for you earlier, but unfortunately, mic wasn't on, so I had to do this again. Now, let's get to your reading. Okay, so for your tarot reading, we've got the 10 of Swords. We have the 6 of Cups. We have the Knight of Cups. And we have the High Priestess. Now, this is more a matter of memory for me than actual reading. What I actually got for you is that for a lot of Taurians, the bottom seemed to fall out from under you. It seems like everything around you was collapsing. With Scorpio, it was that other people were collapsing and they were kind of really like holding it together very well. But in your case, it's kind of the opposite. Things around you are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Changes are happening. It's just that a lot of Taurians are not really doing very well with those changes. So you're taking refuge in creativity, as seen here with the Knight of Cups from the Illis Tarot. Like, you're taking refuge in your creativity, and you're taking refuge in your childhood pursuits or your childhood memories, okay? That light is going to go on and off, by the way. I'm just going to turn it off as and when, right? Turn it on as and when, sorry. So you're retreating to your childhood memories, and you're retreating into your creative pursuits. So it's your creative pursuits and your childhood memories that are holding solace for you right now, because everything else seems to be breaking for some of you. Now, there are some people in your life who are unimaginably wise, and they hold a lot of information within themselves, but because you're not really speaking to them at the moment, and it's not because you hate them or anything like that, or they've done something awful, it's just that you don't really have the time to talk to that many people, so you never really get round to them. But there's this one particular person who's unimaginably wise, and you're not speaking to them right now because of lack of time. But then again, if you're really honest with yourself, you're also not speaking to them because they know too much. And there are certain truths that you have to hear that you're not ready to yet. But my advice to you, Taurus, would be to talk to this person, because with their help, you might be able to navigate the situation better. Okay? So, yeah, so those are your tarot cards. Okay, that's what I'm reading for your tarot cards. Now, I'm going to read for these oracle cards right here. So this is from Between the Worlds oracle deck, and this is a quartz point. So the number for this is 29, and 29 broken down is the 11-2 number. So it feels like there are changes that need to be navigated, and your job is to not help enforce those changes, but almost shepherd people through those changes. But how are you going to do that if you're not ready yourself? Well, the solution lies in the 2 number. 11-2 2 is right here, passive. Passively engaging, meaning engaging through other people and through preparing your environment. And the number 9 is the number of crusading, using powerful duality to do good for the world around you. It means traveling, but traveling more on a selfless journey, or on a journey of self-discovery rather than on a journey of accomplishment. It feels like what you actually have to do is you have to, through other people, you have to not only embrace these changes, but to find ways to be of service to other people that's not your usual way. This person that you're not speaking to, right? The reason why they seem to be so emotionally present with people is because they know how to nurture their own company in a meaningful way. They're honest with themselves. They're honest with themselves and how they feel about the world. So that is the key towards navigating the situation and being there for other people in the way that they actually need, right? And at the moment, it seems like a lot of Taurians are spreading themselves thin among like God knows how many people, right? So that is something that you need to solve. That's something that you need to like iron out, right? With this again, this is more about remembering than actually forecasting this, because I talked about this earlier. I'm just trying to remember what I said about this. This is the thing. You feel trapped, but you're not doing anything to free yourself. And I'm going to get into that when I get into these cards. You feel trapped, but you're not really doing anything to free yourself. You're not really doing anything to remove yourself, or, from a situation that is causing you stress and not doing you any good. You need to free yourself from the expectations that have been placed on you. There are people who are relying on you. Like, what would happen if you'd have just stepped back? If you just step back, it means other people have to learn how to cope, right? There's only so long you can go on keeping other people dependent on you before it becomes exhausting, right? So the reason why everything around you seems to be falling apart is because you're expected to play a new role now. You're not expected to keep doing the same thing that you normally do, but you don't like change. And I feel like the reason for this is because you're always exposed to really big transformations. You're always, for some reason, there's a thing with Taurus that is always exposed to really big, almost cataclysmic events in their personal lives and in the lives of other people. You are constantly surrounded by chaos. And when you're constantly surrounded by chaos and drastic upheaval, the one thing you want to do is you want to hold on to security. You want to hold on to something permanent to feel steady. It's very much a moon dominant thing, but it can apply to Taurians across the board. Like, you want something stable to offshoot all the chaos and the huge upheavals going on around you. You want something that lasts. And that, I believe, is really understandable. But the dread thing is, if you don't embrace what spirit gives you, spirit finds a way of making you embrace it. And that's for all signs. When you don't confront 7th house stuff, and especially 12th house stuff, spirit will make you confront it, whether you like it or not. All right. It's uncomfortable, but it is what it is. Luckily, though, we're not talking about your 12th house today. We are actually talking about your 4th, right? Now, there are those of you Taurians who are very much trying to, you're trying to keep a grip on your career and on your public life. You want to escape to your public life because your public life feels more permanent. Aquarius is in your 10th house, which means you were always destined to be a career person anyway. But it's just that right now, that's where the least heat is. So it's where you feel calmer. It's where you feel safer. It's where you feel more steady, is in your 10th house. But you actually really need to deal with your 4th, egos and all, because this is the thing with Taurus, right? They've always got to deal with parental figures or family members, like all competing for the spotlight. That's what Taurians usually have to deal with. And it's only when you deal with this, this part of your life, and you deal with it with your blinkers off, and you learn to see things as they are. It's only when you do that 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 10th house stuff can be, can be properly looked at. Because if you don't look at your family life, and you don't look at your family history, and you don't look at yourself clearly, it will affect your career, and it will affect how you're perceived by the public. So you've really got to be honest with yourself. Like, what is it that you're doing, and why are you doing this? What is it about your past that has influenced you in this way? So yeah. And normally you love to be at home. You love, being private and being at home and stuff like that. But for this moment, it's, it feels like a lot to deal with. And, you're trying to escape through the happier parts of your childhood, but you can't have the happier parts without the miserable parts. And you can't have the parts without the parts you don't. So and you're finding a lot of things out. So it's not going to be an easy time for the next 18 months for Taurians. But it might be rewarding. That's the thing. Let me read your notes though. Yeah. So for your normal notes, we've got evidence, toxic personality, passive woman, final move, end of moving, emotional meltdown, dangerous woman. For this card right here, quartz point, we've got clarity comes in many forms. Pay attention to everything. Breaking free, self-empowerment, and reaching for your dreams. Okay. For your important notes, we've got goodwill, returning a favor, Romeo, wedding singer, performer, parenting, bachelor. Now, I'm going to get to that in a second. We've got work. Okay, for your most important notes, really important note, we've got working with children and friend from the past re-entering your life. Okay, so for some of you Taurians who are parents especially, right? Be prepared to have some very difficult answers to some questions that you've been asking for a long time. But once you get those answers, the pattern that you've been following unknowingly will become clear to you. But you've got to, like the key lies in how your relationship is with your children or with the younger people in your family. That is going to reveal a lot to you. Yeah. So, yeah. But what I will say is that take these as signposts, yeah? Take these points right here that I've written down as signposts. They're not necessarily the major part of the overall picture, because they can be literal or not literal. But they are signposts, so watch out for them. Okay. When it comes to toxic personality and dangerous woman though, there is a dangerous woman in your life, but it's not who you think it is. I'm just going to say that. But yeah, this is a very rough initiation into self-empowerment for the next 18 months. And it's not going to be all doom and gloom, because this is 18 months. But it's just like over the period of 18 months, there's going to be a lot of hard questions that need to be answered, unfortunately. So I'm sorry about that. Now I'm going to get into these cards that have been pre-pulled. All right. So we've got the Hierophant. And the Hierophant reflects who you are at your most base level. You're the one who understands the hidden aspects of society, the things that people expect that they don't say. You are the one who understands exactly what people want. because you're good at that. You're good at understanding the hidden aspects of what people want. So this is how you've been living your life so far, right? But you're not evolving in being this way. You're not evolving in being fixed in understanding what society needs, right? You're working on your body, you're working on your physical form, and ordinarily this would be a good thing. Well, actually, no, ordinarily I would say that therapy is better for you, but actually in this case, connecting with your body is going to ground you. It's going to give you some stability and peace of mind for your emotions. So I think that you working out and you working on your body is a really good thing. Not necessarily because you need to work on your physical beauty, because I don't know if that's entirely necessary for you. But when you're focused on your body and, you know, what your body looks like and what your body is doing, it brings down the panic level, and Taurians can be very panicky, right? I mean, just thinking about it, like, I was already calm, but thinking about it is just making me like twice as calm now. And I already was pretty chilled out. So that's the power of like being rooted in your body and thinking about what is your body doing right now. It grounds you. It really grounds you and it calms you down. So you working out, focusing on your body, all that, good move, because it's keeping you grounded. It's keeping you in your body, which you need. Somebody around you is being really stupid. Now, this person is not stupid. They're not unintelligent. And they're not even saying unintelligent things, but they're saying it in an unintelligent way. Could be a Libra, but it could be anybody, for real, right? You are going to have to step in and tell them to like, just relax, yeah? Not everything needs to be said. Just chill out. Because this person, like, they like to say what's on their mind, but they're doing it out of anxiety and they're doing it out of shame, which means like just listening to them is annoying, and you're just going to have to nip that in the bud. Yeah. There's a feeling of being trapped here. You feel trapped somewhat. And I feel like it's because of the expectations you put on yourself more than what anybody else is doing. And I know it's really hacky to say that, you know, 8 of Swords, oh, it means you're trapped. But no, in this particular case, mentally, you feel like you're trapped by your circumstances. And it's not easy for you to kind of admit to yourself, okay, what am I doing? How am I culpable in my own life right now? It's not easy for anybody to do, but especially not you, because you like to think that you're savvy and that you know what you're doing. And again, it's not because of ego. That's not what this is. It's not because you're egotistical and you need to like feel like it. That's not what this is. It's that need for stability. That's why you're like that. That's why you like to feel like you know what you're doing at all times. And when you don't, it feels like you're in a room with no windows or doors, but you're not in a room with no windows or doors. You're not even in the dark. You're just not looking. You know, there are opportunities unfolding in front of you in the midst of everything appearing to shut down. You just have to pay attention. Yeah. This ties in with the Hierophant. This ties in with the Hierophant. How much money are you spending trying to keep up appearances? Can you really afford to keep doing that? If you can't, and you know you can't, then why are you still doing it? Why are you fucking up your credit score or fucking up your money by doing things that you can't afford to do? Just to keep up appearances, just to keep up that facade of, you know, being in charge of your life. There will be a dark night of the soul. But this is more for you than other people, unfortunately, like at some point. I'm sorry to say. Yeah, there will be a dark night of the soul, and I'm sorry to say that. And that's going to be twice that I've gotten this card. So this is going to be a very important feature for the next 18 months. It's a sense of everything, every false ideal of who you are and what your home life and your family life is like. Sorry. It's the whole illusion of what your whole private life and family life are like that is going to be collapsing around you. And it becomes a time of having to redefine who you are. But hear what? This is the good part, all right? We got the Chariot. When all is said and done, when all the dust is settled, you are going to come face to face with yourself and you're going to reintegrate. You're going to come back a bit battle worn, but you're going to come back strong. And you're going to come back strong into a new cycle, into a new frontier. This could be your career. In fact, it's most likely to do with your career. After you've gone through all the dark night of the soul with your private life and everything else, that's when you're going to come out stronger. And that's when your career is going to be on the up. And you're going to get your self-confidence back. So yeah, nothing is hopeless, Taurus. It's just that you have to go through the dark. In your particular case, you've got to go through the dark to come into the light for the next 18 months. So my heart is with you. Taurus, I love you. You can do this. I believe in you. And we will talk again soon. I have been Empress Justice. I will see you in the next one. Okay. Peace and blessings. Bye bye, my darlings.